Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's Friday night, 7:07 p.m. Central. We got Wham here with us, Professor Wham. We got Eric Grimsrud. I always say that. I always mess it up somehow.
You said it right. Well, close.
Grimsrud.
It's Rudder. I called it said Rudder when I was younger, but it is technically Rude. So
Grimsrud. And man, it's just been so crazy. You've been on about this so many times, and but this time it's every level. Every time it just hits a new weird level. I mean, right now we're at the Iran thing, waiting to see if we're going to get screwed up. What it seems like is Iran kind of kicked their butt some from some of the stuff I'm seeing, but it also seems like they're blocking material, so we don't know what's happening too. I hear they're showing Trumpelgooch fake pictures of explosions like they did in his first term and to appease him, like Caligula and stuff, and just showing him stuff and things like that when it's probably not the truth, just to appease him so he's happy and stuff like that. But the big thing is, how are they going to counterattack? And supposedly they keep saying they're not going to go after the people here that don't like Trump and blah, blah, blah. But over there, they do kill the crap out of some protesters, so it's hard to trust that for sure. I'm afraid one of them's going to have a suit new case at some point at Yellowstone or something.
You know, it's both scary and also it's hard to be right about something like this. It's hard to be right about World War III. I mean, it really is. I've said that since the beginning that I would love to be wrong. But
well, I mean, it's already happened. It's already happened. It's just not like at a nuke level. It's just at other weird levels.
I know.
It's almost at a nuke level.
If World War III lasts 27 years, it means it doesn't happen all at once.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course, the pig's going to act up. He's a brat. Why does he want that so bad? I've been noticing crazy things. There's someone I know that I've known from the show, Allison Callahan and Chad, and basically we may have to let her out. But basically, they said that he had a THC psychotic break, and she put a video up of him going crazy, like I'm on Planet Chad MFR, and just not being himself at all. Very strange. And she was very worried about him, and now I think he's back home and things are a little bit better, but he had some kind of psychotic break. And I've wondered about energy weapons. I don't try to get that too kooky with it, but it was just very weird. And I had my situation, that happened, and so I've heard of a lot of people having fights lately in their houses and stuff, and sometimes you wonder if they are, doing energy weapons on us. But a THC psychotic break, that seems to be a new term. I've never heard of that before. Have you? I've been hearing it lately a lot.
You would have to do a lot of, just ridiculous. But now with, weed oil, that certainly is, something that can happen. But I think overall, the stress of everything that's happening in the world, people feel it. They're responding to it. They may not want to put a finger on it, but things are tough. Things are tense right now. And, people that are already on the edge, I think it's sort of inclined to push them farther over the edge. It's really, what we're going through is only going to get harder. I'm an optimist. Yeah, I wish it was good news. It's going to be a while before things get better. Gas is going to keep going up. Things are going to get really, harder for a while. It's not the end of the world, but it's like the time right before World War II.
This pig is going batshit crazy. What to do? Generals gathered in their masses. More pigs. There's some background.
Get some Aussie going here.
Yeah. He's going crazy. We're gonna let them out. We let the others out. Then the bad things about having rescue animals is some of them start to not like each other. So there's like weird dog gangs that we have to keep
Right.
separate. That's the worst part of it. And once they don't like each other, it don't seem like they want to change on that
Yeah,
regard.
no. If two dogs don't like each other, there's not much you can do to. It's just sort of it. Usually.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's really scary when they clamp on each other and they won't let go. But we've had it happen and it's not good. But generals gathered in the masses. But so, what do you think about some of this Iran stuff? It's like that. Have you seen the stuff? It's like, oh, we're not going to attack the regular American citizens that don't like this, or I don't know. I just find it hard to believe. It sounds nice, but when you look at their protester death count, you worry.
Well, let's step back for a second. We put the TSA into place after 9/11 to protect us from terrorism. And now we're not funding the TSA. A lot of them can't afford to show up for work. They need to do other things. We've really created problems there. And we just pissed off the people that, are funding the terrorism. So we've got a big, big problem. Now, they are kind of dealing with the stuff that's going on over there right now, and fighting their fight there. But we are being incredibly, we've got the door wide open to a 9/11 style terrorist attack right now with TSA not, you know what I mean? Like they're talking about on the news that we're not sure the homeland is safe right now. We've got, it's something major is going to go down. I don't know what it is. And I'm talking about even aside from Trump dying and then Putin probably nuking Ukraine, aside from that, something big is going to come from all of this. And it's probably going to be a terrorist attack of some kind. So, because that's how they fight.
Yeah, it's definitely just waiting to see what they're going to do. I heard they hid Rubio and Higgsworth because there's unidentified drone sightings over where their locations, so I had to take them into bunkers and stuff. Which I feel no sympathy for them, but it's hard.
We don't. I think in the United States, we're not really, it's not easy to invade the United States or attack the United States, right? We've got the continent, there's, Canada, regardless of whatever tension, we are sort of together in terms of world events. Mexico to a lesser extent, but it's really, and everybody in the U.S. has weapons, like there's lots of guns here. So, you can't invade the United States. But you can cause a lot of damage. There's high altitude EMPs, there's chemical weapons, there's all sorts of things. This whole thing with these drones with the fast radio bursts in how they took out the people when they invaded Venezuela. When they invaded Venezuela, they had drones that went over the area and they did this high radio frequency burst or whatever, screwed up all the soldiers' ears. All those soldiers basically collapsed and were puking, and our people just walked right in and got their president and walked back out. So, there's a lot of scary technology out there. There's a lot of, something's going to go down.
There's a lot of things with go ahead, William, but the energy weapons definitely worry about that.
I don't know if you saw in 60 Minutes, not that CBS is very good anymore, but they did.
Yeah, no, they're not.
They did do a follow-up of a story that they had done several years ago. And this, I think it was in the last 2 weeks that it aired. And so it was like a continuation of something that they had done. And they were looking at the latest information about that Havana syndrome and how it's basically there's a couple of researchers out of MIT, I think it was. I'll have to look it up real quickly, but basically, the technology for producing those kinds of symptoms has been available since the 1970s, and the only thing that made it difficult in the past was and the reason why it wasn't used, it was because the type of energy that was required in order to focus it, they didn't have the technology available to make it small and portable. And now they do, and they've had that portable technology for about 15 years. And it is Russia that has done a lot of research into this, although China has too, and we certainly have known about it.
Sure.
And so this is a real weapon, the only caveats to it is that it has to be done at close range. There are ways of blocking it, but you have to know that it's being done to you. You have to know that you're in proximity to it.
Right.
And it's actually, if you know, it's fairly easy to block, but it is possible to direct it. So that you can take the device, you can walk into like a restaurant, an open area, and you can aim it at a group of people, and just affect those people because it's so short range. So there are limitations to it, but it's part of a number of different types of. They refer to it as non-lethal weaponry, but it can have lethal effects, and certainly we've all heard about the development of the infrasound stuff, the ultrasound or whatever it's called. That they have used against protesters here and against certainly they used it during the Standing Rock and protests. They basically tested some of that technology on the indigenous people who were protesting against the pipeline. So we know that these technologies exist, and it's just a matter of how they're going to deploy those things, how they're going to refine them, if they're going to be able to connect eventually certain of these types of technologies to drones.
That's what I understand they did for Venezuela. Is they had them on drones, and they flew those drones directly above those people and just beamed it straight down, and that's what all of this, because they could totally control the area by just controlling, where those drones are. Anywhere that soldiers are, they can just, okay, you're going down. That's it. So I can understand why they have a lot of this technology and the specifics of it, though, not available to the public, because
absolutely.
Nobody wants a teenager getting a hold of some of this stuff and then saying, hey, let's pull a prank on my friends. You know what I mean? So I understand the top secretness of it, but it's scary stuff.
Yeah, it is. And the fact that it would be used, that it could be used easily on people. Citizens as well as enemies. What I know that this is just my cynicism showing, but when some people started having these symptoms in odd places, the Havana syndrome in odd places, I thought to myself, that could just as easily be our CIA doing it to our own citizens, because our intelligence agencies have done this before.
Sure.
They've tested it on our own people, because there's a kind of double blind that you can create if you do that. You can blame it on Russia or blame it on China, or just say, as they have said, oh, this is just all in your head. it's just a virus or something, whatever. They, in the same way that, the CIA in particular hoaxed various UFO events in the past, and then just, used UFO, disinformation, used agents like Doty, to spread disinformation about how much contact or not, various segments of the government may or may not have had with, always flirting with disclosure, just to create, narrative streams that would confuse things. So I mean, when I first heard about Havana syndrome, I actually assumed that it was us doing it to us. I mean, that should tell you how cynical I am.
I think it really was somebody else in the whole, in there, but they were using that technology, and that probably spurred us to, pick that technology back up. But I think it's on one level, you definitely want to have technology like that. You don't want the other, the other government or the other, people having it and you not, but trusting our government with that kind of technology when it has really done some pretty scandalous things, over decades, in terms of testing on our own citizens, in terms of, staged events and things. It makes it a little hard to trust the government with that kind of technology, but I don't dispute that it's probably necessary to have, but I don't trust the people using it.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's nice to know that you can, basically cause an entire army to start puking on the ground. That's great. But, it's scary technology. Energy weapons are scary.
Yeah, they are.
Welcome to World War III.
Do what?
Welcome to World War III.
Oh, we've had Robert Duncan on before, and he died recently, and he made some kind of tech that the CIA stole from him and used it for nefarious purposes. He became a whistleblower, but he died like last year or something. That was a creepy show about targeted individuals. But it would definitely creep me out. It seems like you get put on lists when you do those shows, or I get paranoid. But I know Jesse Ventura did a targeted individual show, and there was some kind of rays coming from some antenna, and he went and confronted the people at the antenna or something.
Oh, wow. Sure is something.
I just saw him on something on Facebook. He's saying in public that the Trump assassination's a hoax.
I'm inclined to believe that the assassination attempt was real. And the reason why I believe that is actually because two reasons. One, people behind Trump were hit by bullets, and Trump would never stand anywhere near a moving bullet. He's a coward. There's no chance of him. If there's bullets flying, he is not there. Karen freaking T. He's not going to stand to the left or right of a moving bullet.
Yes.
And then also, apparently the kid who did it had a manifesto on Facebook that got pulled down by the FBI saying that he was trying to prevent nuclear war. And I don't know where this kid got the idea that taking out Trump would prevent nuclear war, but I find it interesting because previously he was a Trump supporter.
Right.
So maybe he visited the Mabus Solution webpage.
God, we ain't even got the summary.
My project's small for a good reason.
I haven't even got to summary yet, so God knows what's going to happen with this idiot.
Nothing good. I still think it's going to be death by McDonald's.
We're lucky.
Death by McDonald's? Is that what you said?
Death by McDonald's. I think it said. Well, you know what? You know those marks that keep showing up on his hands, like he these bruise marks on his hands. That's what happens to old people when they're on blood thinners for things like heart attack. Is somebody going to tell me that Donald Trump doesn't have high blood pressure? That guy's at risk of heart attack.
He's got high blood pressure. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's death. Heart attack. I will bet you death by McDonald's at this point. I don't think it's going to be a sad. It says Mabus shall then soon die. Soon after, a heart attack or stroke. That's my opinion right now.
Well, do you remember he accidentally admitted that he may have had a stroke?
Oh, I didn't.
It was this happened like about. It was reported a little bit. I was surprised it wasn't reported as much because I actually heard it. I heard him say it. He was answering questions. You know how they throw out questions,
Sure.
and he was answering questions. It was during one of his little press things, and it was an aside. And somebody mentioned, so a reporter asked him if he was on any particular kind of medication, and he was denying it. And he said, I am taking aspirin in order to prevent a second stroke. And then he went on, and then it's like, he kind of was walking away when he said it. And it was like a second stroke. I mean, why would he say it like that?
I'm telling you.
It was, I mean, and it was picked up by some people, but I was surprised that it wasn't talked about more. You know what I mean? It was,
That guy's gonna go down one day. He's gonna be out of the blue, and all of a sudden he's gonna be just like, oh, there's something major has happened to him. Rush to the hospital, and then he'll bite it, and suddenly, boom, there we are. And you know what? That's the perfect time to attack the United States when the nuclear football is in transition between the president and the vice president. That is the best time to attack the United States.
Absolutely. So basically, all people have to do right now is just kind of sit back and wait for the opportunity.
Well, you mean in terms of terrorism?
Yeah.
Well, in terms of terrorism, I don't know. I am certainly not an expert. I am not somebody that I watch experts on YouTube, but I am not an expert. But I think that we're at real risk when we aren't taking care of the people at the airports that we're supposed to be taking care of to protect us, and we're not funding them. And we've had airplanes run into our buildings before. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that long ago. 2001, I remember when 9/11 happened. Like, I think most people do. They remember where they were and everything that happened. We used to be able to go across the border with our birth certificate. We've had to use a passport ever since then. I mean, all sorts of stuff happened because of 9/11. And now we're not funding the people to protect us while we pissed off the terrorists. Now, I would say that they're probably very busy dealing with what they're dealing with over there. But to think that that's not going to blow back to another problem, and they used airplanes before, so yeah, I think we're a real risky thing. I think we are. But here's the flip side. If Trump decides he's going to put ICE into the airports, what's to prevent him from taking TSA and putting it under the banner of ICE, and then suddenly Trump is and all of our air transportation is under control of ICE directly to Trump? That's scary. If ICE takes over TSA, that's a scary situation.
Check out this. This is stuff on Facebook. Iran confirms it has no interest in attacking Donald Trump. I'm not sure if this is true, but it says the reason is brutal. They claim no weapon could harm the U.S. as much as Trump himself does from the White House. Tehran now views the president as an asset, weakening the country from within. But another one that's interesting, this is from Occupy Democrats. Schlapp, one of his little pedo jerk-offs, went to do a speech about Trump at CPAC, and somehow impeachment came up, and they all started cheering for Trump to be impeached at CPAC. That's like their wanker fest. So,
Right.
so
Yeah,
that's
I read there was another really interesting thing. Let's see if I can find it here. Here I have to log back into this one
at
account.
this point, he's going to let a 9/11 thing pass and try to do some pure shit.
Well,
Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. They're even saying it on memes on Facebook, and then he does it.
I think it's interesting because, with the Mabus solution puzzle, the underlying basis for it is three men whose followers would adorn them as kings, all signified by the king symbol. And here we have Donald Trump, who is either compares himself to, or some of the things he does, they all come back to that. We have got anti-king protests going on, all sorts of stuff.
And here it is.
It's so ironic and frightening and pinpoint accurate. It's
So this was at CPAC that as well. CPAC gets sobering warning of burning American warships in Iran from Blackwater founder. Blackwater founder Eric Prince revealed that he had warned President Trump against going to war in Iran. This is something that he talked about apparently at CPAC. At CPAC on Friday, Prince had a sobering message about Operation Epic Fury. I counseled as loud as possible against doing this in the first place, he explained. We face an extremely difficult challenge. The Iranians learned their lesson from what happened to Iraq. Decapitation of the leadership structure of the Iraqi army. The Iranians have done the exact same thing. There's 31 different military districts. All clear direction given to those 31 commanders is to continue to wage war against whoever they can with whatever they can. The only person that can countermand that order is the supreme leader. And we've killed the supreme leader, his father, his wife, his sister, other family members in an ancient society that understands the meaning of blood oath.
Mm-hmm.
And you add the Shia angle to that, and that makes that very strong. I don't share the optimism of the administration that there's going to be a peaceful stop to this. He noted that Iran would burn it down if the U.S. tried to deploy troops in the country. If they try to put boots on the ground, force the Strait of Hormuz, you will see imagery of burning American warships in the next couple of weeks, he advised. And I don't think people are really prepared for that. So I would look. Iran doesn't have an Independence Day because they've not really been truly conquered since Alexander the Great. Wow. For all the talk of regime change, there's never been a real preparation of an armed opposition from inside the country. Anything that's happened there has happened from the periphery. And there's a lot of ways to do, he said, the periphery that doesn't require U.S. boots. So
it's hard to say what the right move is. I mean, at this point, do you bomb them back to the Stone Age, or do you try to help them rebuild, or how do you even deal with this? And what kind of help are they even willing to accept? I mean, this is going to be catastrophic. It will be.
Stupid.
Yeah. What
is up with Cuba? What the hell is he doing to them? People dying on respirators and shit. What is he even doing? I don't even know what he's doing. He's like Cobra Commander now or something from G.I. Joe. It's like a villain. It's like our government's Darth Vader. It's like, why is he even attacking Cuba?
Well, Cuba is a screwed up deal because Venezuela was who was basically supplying them with oil and profit, and they were propping each other up. And so taking out Venezuela ended Cuba's fuel source. So why are we embargoing oil or not selling oil to Cuba and trying to build some sort of relationship there? I mean, we opened up the thing. We've been traveling back and forth. We've had fairly normalized relations, not completely. I mean, it's not like we're friends, but you know what I mean? Like, it's been a better relationship for a while. So why are we all of a sudden starving them out? that just makes no sense. Like, we're creating enemies that we don't need to create. We were just starting to get on pretty decent terms with Cuba. So, yep. The world is a changing.
Yeah, it's just crazy. If you view it through the lens of he's doing it to help Putin, it makes more sense. I mean, even though it seems confusing, everything's confusing, but if you look at it like that, like he just lifted their sanctions, and didn't he just pay Iran a bunch of money to do something weird, like during all this? Like, it's just so much weird. I can't keep up with it.
Well, they're doing anything that they can. It's going to get bad. It's going to get bad.
Okay, and this is the other thing that's happening in the United States, and I've been following this because this is actually much more consequential. The U.S. as a whole, despite the snow and record cold that has occurred in some places, the United States as a whole is facing one of the worst droughts that so far the 21st century has seen. 77% of the United States is abnormally dry. 56% is under an official drought. That's more than half of the country. The eastern U.S. and Mid-South have caught some relief over the last couple months. Like, we're okay here, right where I'm at. But the plains in the West are heading in the wrong direction fast. And we've never had really a drought like this that's paired with a La Nina to El Nino transition. So basically, there's no playbook for that. The Gulf is running hot, which should mean available moisture, but drought strengthens caps and chokes off moisture transport across the middle of the country. So these two forces are going to be fighting each other all season. And right now, it doesn't look like there's any break in it. And so agriculture is already hurting. I can tell you this because, I have friends and family that live in Kansas and Nebraska and Iowa, and the winter wheat has already been affected by this, and the wildfires have been terrible. Just last week, this is March, right? Just last week, they were posting
pretty early for wildfire.
In eastern Kansas, they were posting temperatures of over 94 degrees, and the wildfires were so bad because to some degree wildfires are grass fires are normal. In fact, in the grasslands of Nebraska and Kansas and Oklahoma, they actually do try to do controlled burning at this time anyway. But it's basically it was so bad last week that friends of mine who live in Lawrence and Topeka and Kansas City, they had to essentially stay inside. Because, we're used to forest fires, but these are wildfires. These are grass fires that are this bad. So it's pretty intense. The world itself is intense.
Are we funding? I think FEMA is not getting funded right now either. The Federal Disaster, Fund or whatever. I think that that's having a real problem. So if we're anticipating all sorts of wildfire issues and weather-related, quote unquote, acts of God this year as a result of all the weather system changes. How well are those people going to get taken care of when everything else is so chaotic in our government right now?
Well, they're not. They're not being taken care of now for the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got, I think a lot of people who supported this guy could find themselves real screwed because of him. Real screwed. If they're in the middle of a disaster and they can't get basic goods and services to get themselves out, and it all comes back to the problems this guy's created. That's going to sadly be the price tag.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much what we, we walked right into it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah. It's
we
like
walked right into this whole thing.
eyes wide open.
Oh,
Eyes wide shut, I should say. Yeah, just walked right into it.
Eric, I consider your Mabus solution part of our theology, so to speak. That's pretty much our stance on everything. And I know over the years people are like Church of Mabus, whatever. I did it just to be shock rock and crazy. But as far as Mabus solution, that's our official position on Trumpelgooch for sure. You're part of the puzzle that hooks up with this for sure.
I appreciate that, Jeff. It's interesting, when we first started doing these, we hadn't gone through all the trumpet quatrains. We were still counting them down. I think we were on number 3.
So where are we now?
We've gone through all of them. There's only one thing left is his death. We cleared all 5, and some of those had more than one event. The assassination attempt hadn't happened yet. The whole face anointed with milk and honey, that hadn't happened yet. There was another one that, the Rudy Giuliani one about people getting their things sold after the there was another one of the trumpet quatrains is about how people connected him get their stuff sold off, and it was Rudy Giuliani and also what was it, the My Pillow guy? What was his name? My Pillow guy?
Oh.
What's his name?
Mike
Lindell,
yes.
They lost everything over this. So yeah, it's we had a few that we hadn't cleared. We've now cleared all of them. And it's terrifying to be right about this kind of stuff. It really is. They say nobody has ever predicted a future event using Nostradamus' work. We've done this. 2 times I can actually say, the assassination attempt and the pandemic I called far in advance. I'm published on it. I put all the trumpet quatrains in order in 2015. All of them occurred in order. So scary.
Eric said he gapped his hair by accident earlier. I see it. I was just telling about your gapped hair earlier. You're telling me about.
Oh yeah, I screwed up my hair. Anybody that's watching this on video,
it's hard to see.
I screwed up my hair.
I see it a little bit, but it's not. It's hard to
point that out.
I was just trying. I know. I was just being an asshole. My hair's really. I need to shave too. Look at me. I look like Oscar the Grouch.
I was trying to match yours. Actually, I was working on it. I gotta keep going here. If I keep going.
I told him he got jackass where they do the thing and where you're sleeping. God, what's the crazy thing? Not Steve-O. There was something they're passing around Facebook. He had a tattoo of a baby getting sexually assaulted on his arm, and he changed it to a bird. But I hope they aren't doing that stuff. But you never know. You never know. It's crazy. But basically, Trump seems like a baby assaulter, and there's even congressmen bringing up the 13-year-old now in public on a big scale about that he hit for biting him and stuff. Like, it's getting crazy that Ted Lieu keeps going after him publicly. The French guy just said something about anytime the Epstein files comes up, something blows up. One of the French people just said that. Pretty much something blows up every time that comes out.
After World War II, in Germany, there were people who would not believe that there were concentration camps, that they were diehard believers in the Nazi cause, and they wouldn't believe anything negative. And it took a court order in Germany at the time, and it forced those people to go walk through those concentration camps. And there were still people who couldn't let go of the Nazi ideology. And we're facing the same exact situation. There are people that it doesn't matter what is said, what is done, they're going to support that guy hook, line, and sinker, period, even in the face of the facts. and either by denying the facts or excusing the facts or distracting themselves from those details and somehow saying, well, it's worth it to deal with this because we get that. I think that
Pumpkin, will you stop?
follow something not true, pay a horrible price in their psyche, and they tend to shoot themselves in the foot in other areas of their lives as a result.
Right. Well, that's that's what happens when your whole identity gets wrapped up into something. I mean, that's where it's for some people, certainly not everyone, but for some people it's like a cult. I mean, it's very much like a religious experience that someone has, that they get so connected to a cause or an ideal or a party or a person or something like that.
I think it's closest to Scientology.
Well, Scientology is a cult.
Right. I think that Trumpism and Scientology are very, like, some of the themes in terms of indoctrination. There's some similar themes there. I would say it's closer to that than traditional religion.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Traditional religion as such is not a cult. You have cults that you have cults that emerge out of mainstream religion. I mean, I was brought up in a family cult that grew out of a very conservative movement within a mainstream religion and a mainstream form of Christianity. And I don't know that sect by itself is necessarily cultish. It's just very identity driven in a certain way. But my father, what he did with it and sort of what he added to it, you know what I mean? And of course, at the time when I was a child, I didn't realize I didn't understand what was going on, and I didn't know the sources from which he was drawing some of this disparate stuff, and adding it to the belief system that basically created the what I call a family cult of Lutheranism. But so I understand that way of thinking. I grew up with it, and then and then as a child, I was around a lot of the as the virus of fundamentalism sort of made its way into different branches of mainstream Christianity in the 60s and 70s. I saw how that transformed. Like the American Baptist Church and the Southern Baptist Convention and the Methodists and the Presbyterians, wherever it went, it caused schisms in those churches. And so, I'm pretty good at identifying cultish behavior. And so the difference between a mainstream religion and then a cult that comes out of it is that mainstream religions have usually they have a large tradition. They're what I call really fat, that they have history and tradition, and they've had to go through a lot of things. They've had to face a lot of challenges, like over the centuries. And so they've had to develop, relatively diverse ways of handling different kinds of people, different kinds of settings, different kinds of even cultures and contexts. That's why it's like the Catholic Church as a whole, the Roman Catholic Church as a whole, in and of itself is not a cult. There are cults that have come out of it, and there are, like Agnus Dei, and whatever the weird thing that Amy Barrett is in, the Supreme Court justice. She's in a weird Catholic cult that has been influenced by certain forms of fundamentalism. So you can have cults that come out of those traditions, but the tradition as a whole tends not to be that. I mean, that's how I make that distinction. But in a political sense, you can have people that were like, say, part of the Nazi Party, because the Nazi Party, I mean, in Germany, you could be part of the Nazi party or not. You didn't have to be like an official member of the Nazi Party, but you had to be very careful about what you said. You couldn't, like, even if you weren't one, you couldn't like just openly defy them in any particular way. But there were lots of people who were members of the Nazi Party, including, anybody who was in the military was sort of de facto, and even if they were not in the party as such, they were doing work for the party, obviously. But as their thing fell apart, as the war ended and it was clear that the Germans were going to end the war, probably the vast majority of people who had been like just rank and file Nazi members, or were not rank and file soldiers in the military, they probably went through various processes about all that, how much they knew or didn't know. I mean, they had to have known something, because the first concentration camps opened in 1933 and, to much fanfare. So, it's kind of like, the media knew about it. So, the common everyday German person had to know a little bit about it.
Again, a parallel from today. Let's advertise what we're doing, so then it's not a problem.
Well, right. So that we can, yeah. Now that was before there were death camps, but the people who either committed the really bad crimes and had to escape, or of course, we spirited some of these people away. Sure. But there were people who, killed themselves, rather than admit that they were wrong, rather than be taken by the other side, rather than, we hanged some of those people. So some of those people some of them got away. We caught them later. Some of them we never caught. You know what I mean? It's like,
Some went to Argentina.
Well, that's what I meant. Some went to Argentina. So some we never caught. Some died there. But there are people I don't personally know them, but I am very good friends with a couple of people who live right next to them, to these people. There are some people who were brought over, in Project Paperclip and all that kind of stuff, who are still alive. And some of them live just about 30 miles from me. There's like a little conclave of them. They are, I don't know if they're American citizens or not, but they are true believers. Right. And, Peter Levenda would be fascinated by them, because they have a little compound and everybody knows where they are, but like nobody, it's kind of like
an open secret.
It's an open secret. Yeah. It's bizarre. It's very bizarre. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's like, and they're very weird. I mean, according to, their neighbors and my friends, they go out at night and they do these weird rituals.
Oh, wow.
And and are just odd. But true believers, absolutely.
Well, I talked to somebody that said that arguing with somebody who's really deeply engrossed in MAGA is very similar to arguing with a true believer, old school Nazi.
Yeah, no, it is.
There's no, everything circles back to, either distraction or validation or denial. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how true it is. It doesn't matter what you can prove. If they feel that it is a negative towards their core belief system, they will find a way to dispute or, invalidate whatever you have to say. It's really frustrating.
Well, it's frustrating, but I mean, the good thing is that everybody dies.
What about Pedolf Schittler?
What about Hitler?
Pedolf Schittler? Pedolf.
Apparently, Hitler was a farter. Apparently, Hitler had horrible stomach problems and was a farter.
I've heard Trump call Pedolf Schittler.
Like
Pedolf Schittler, like Pedolf Schittler.
Well, that's something he and Trump have in common. Hitler and Trump have in common is they both apparently stink to high heaven. Trump was apparently a farter and Hitler was a farter.
I'm wondering if it's him.
A farter.
I'm wondering if it's him reincarnated or something weird.
Trump was apparently born right after Adolf Hitler allegedly died. Assuming that Hitler, I think that he probably did die in Germany. He might have gotten out, but I think he probably did.
I think he died in Germany. I think he died in Germany.
Probable, but
I think he did. No, well, the reason I think that is because there were too many other people who that were his close aides that committed suicide after seeing that he did that. Well, they did. I mean, it's like they were able to confirm Goebbels' death more readily than they were able to claim Hitler's death. I mean, he died with his whole family, and they were all found and identified. So, I tend to think that he probably did, just based on his type of profile, just based on the type of megalomaniac that he's been profiled to be. But he did have a number of doubles, and we know that. And I think it's pretty clear that some of these doubles got out, and probably that the rumor of his possible survival was used.
Oh, that's interesting. So you think that maybe some of the doubles were the ones that made it to Argentina? And
not just Argentina, Indonesia. I don't know if you've read Peter Levenda, but he's the one who explores this possibility, and he picks up the evidence for it, and follows it. And he actually personally knew of a person, an individual who was playing the part of Hitler's double in Indonesia. And what was interesting about that person is that he obviously, while Peter Levenda himself did not believe that he was Hitler, he had convinced the locals that he was, and he was connected in some way with individuals who lived in Argentina and who lived in Germany, because when he died, there were various. Levenda got involved in his life in some weird ways. I can't remember exactly what it is, but when he died, he got there were messages that were sent from Argentina and from Germany and from several other places. And there's a grave in Indonesia that says Hitler on it. So, I mean, he doubts he's really Hitler, but by tracing what he could find of this guy's history, and the fact that there were several other people that their trajectory appears to have been similar, certainly surviving Nazi parties, that survived through the rat lines, they for Stalin's sake, they were perfectly willing to keep the rumor that he was alive, because that kept Stalin sort of distracted in certain ways, because Stalin was obsessed with the idea that Hitler had to have survived, so much so that he sent two or three groups of people to like try to find the body or dig or do stuff, do weird stuff. So I think that Hitler probably did die, probably took his life in the manner that was said, but I do think that the rumor of his continuing life was used with doubles for quite a while.
It makes me wonder if maybe that there was a network of that the doubles formed some sort of criminal network of some kind, utilizing the alias of Hitler to propagate their activities at the time. So that
I mean, it does appear that I don't know that they comprised the network themselves, but I think they were part of a network. Yes,
possibly. Yes,
very definitely, and certainly. Lavenda believes that we've heard of Odessa. What he thinks about Odessa is that there was a kind of Odessa-like network, but it was not as organized as Odessa was thought to be, because if it was too organized, then it would be too visible. It would show up at some point. And so what he argues is that the network still remains decentralized. And what it does is it hooks into already existing criminal networks and maintains its own integrity, if you will, through certain kinds of personal contacts.
Interesting.
But that way it can continue to do what it does, but it doesn't ever reveal itself in the same way.
In the book, I've had to fictionalize Hitler, and it's very interesting to fictionalize a major historical figure. And Joseph and Meg de Goebbels are primary characters for that story. Because it was Meg de Goebbels who, in real life, was the one who got a hold of Nostradamus's work regarding Hister and promoted out to the German people that Nostradamus predicted the success of Hitler. And so, the question is, were they doing that because they believed that? Or were they doing that because they were simply trying to use prophecy to scare people as a form of further manipulation? So, a big question is, what did they themselves actually believe? Which is a core part of that part of the story that I'm capitalizing on for what I'm doing with it. But it's it's interesting because they convinced the German people that Nostradamus predicted the success of Hitler. The Allies dropped flyers across Nazi Germany saying, no, Nostradamus predicted the fall of Hitler. So whether you agree with the Nazis or you agree with the Allies, both agree that Nostradamus predicted Hitler by name. What, 300 years? 300 years in advance? I think that's right. 400 years in advance.
Yeah, something like that. 400
years. Yeah, it'd be 400 years. So almost 400 years. 330 something years. But it's a lot. Anyway. I'd have to pull out a calculator. But it's still striking because Nostradamus predicted Napoleon Roy by name. He predicted Napoleon by name, even utilizing the Corsican spelling of Napoleon, which is not in common use. And Napoleon was a Corsican. So it's fascinating the way that Nostradamus was able to do this and how it ties into everything happening today. It would happen in those time periods and what's happening right now. It's fascinating and terrifying.
It's very interesting too.
It's scary.
It is scary.
It's really I've had to come up with a fictionalized way that somebody like Nostradamus could do what he does or do what he did. And I'm not going to proclaim to actually know, but I did have to come up with a scientifically plausible way that people like Nostradamus could do it. And so how I'm framing it within the novel is that consciousness itself is connected to quantum entanglement. That when we observe something or we focus on something, we're entangling with it. And people
Right.
people like Nostradamus could do so through time, seeing the world not through a third person's point of view, but seeing through the collective unconscious of mass despair. And that these moments of mass despair rippled through time in a quantum entanglement way that Nostradamus could perceive them. The reason that he saw tragedies is because they were loud in terms of human suffering. So that's how I'm kind of framing it within the novel.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a TV series about Nostradamus. I know we got that movie, and that was pretty good, but it wasn't the best, but it was decent. I liked it.
Well, Crown had a minute. Crown had a minute. I didn't watch the TV show Crown, but I think Crown actually had their version of Nostradamus in there. But I don't know how much they attached themselves to the actual history. I think they just, were creating a TV show that was about, France at that time. But it had Nostradamus in it.
I don't know, what is Crown? I don't remember.
It was a TV show about France during the time of Queen Catherine, who it was Nostradamus predicted Queen Catherine's husband, King Henry II's death. That's the whole story of the jousting match. So the short story long is that Nostradamus, in his book of prophecies, in some of the first books, there was a prophecy about the young lion overcoming the old one. And when you read the quatrain, Queen Catherine felt it was about her husband, the king, and his death. And so she called upon Nostradamus. She told her people to go get Nostradamus. And they brought him in, and Nostradamus confirmed that yes, that one was indeed about her husband. And so my understanding is that the result of that was he ended up becoming one of her most trusted advisors. This whole story went on for years, where he would continue to advise her in different situations. Well, then a jousting match came up between King Henry II and I think it was Captain Montgomery, another person of high status of the time. And Queen Catherine, recognizing that the situation they were in really resembled the quatrain, begged King Henry II not to do the jousting match. And so King Henry II said, no, we're going to go ahead and do it. And he kind of brushed it off. And they went through the first match, and Captain Montgomery's lance broke, but nothing really happened. Nobody thought anything of it. But Queen Catherine saw this and was freaking out about it after the first match and was begging her husband not to do the second one. He's like, no, we'll do the second. And they do the second. The lance, Montgomery's lance, shatters. A shard of wood goes through King Henry II's eye all the way to the back of his skull, and another one swipes his jugular and goes into his neck. And he ended up dying days later in horrible agony. It got infected and the whole bit. And he ended up dying exactly the way that Nostradamus had predicted. And that story is functionally the first time that someone accurately predicted a future event as a result of Nostradamus, because Queen Catherine already knew and Nostradamus confirmed it. So when they say nobody has ever done it, that was the first time it was done, and the second time was the situation with the Allies and the Nazis. The project that I'm doing is effectively time 3.
What do you foresee for the future? I mean, every time I see pictures of him now, he's pooping himself.
I predict that he's going to poop himself. Or catch him against the wall. I don't have any more quatrains to work with other than his death. We've already gone through them all. The assassination attempt, come and gone. We did that. The immigration crisis, we're in the middle of that, right? That's the whole thing. That's the first one about the wall and an immigration crisis. That's the very first one. So, I mean, we've gone through all of them. I think that there's a strong chance that we could be coming up at the end of this thing early next year. So, but I don't know specifically. I don't have a stopwatch, and I don't think, and they don't always happen exactly the way that you think they're going to. I mean, I can, my opinion is the final piece is about Putin nuking Ukraine, and then going from there, China going into Taiwan, and suddenly World War III with no missiles fired. But that's just one scenario overlay. The truth is, can I rule out a major nuclear attack from Russia? No, I can't rule that out.
Yeah.
So, but the final quatrain is as such: Mabus shall then soon die, and of people and beasts comes a horrible rout. Then suddenly one will see vengeance, 100 powers, thirst, hunger, when the comet will run. It's the final piece, and the only one left.
A friend of mine used to say Mabus meant maybe us when we first started doing this.
We asked who was going to start with World War III. Maybe us.
Maybe us talking about him in the future. But anyway, tell us the Drumpf breakdown of the name Mabus. Like, I know using Drumpf for people that may be first tuning in and hearing this. Drumpf is his German name, and that's the name he uses. Hitler was Hister, so Drumpf is the Mabus, but break it down in a way so people can understand it.
Sure. So the first thing, I suppose, is to connect Drumpf and Trump. So Drumpf was Donald Trump's grandfather's last name. It was never legally changed, to my knowledge. They just started calling themselves Trump. They were trying to avoid being persecuted by the public as German immigrants. And Drumpf had a German feel to it, and that was during a time when there was risk of just social things in New York, so they started calling themselves Trump. But the last name historically is Drumpf. So the way that these three names connect is fascinating. The first puzzle for Napoleon breaks down via an anagram and a political accent. Napoleon, and then Roy, which means king in Old French. And that Roy, the placement of Roy foreshadows the placement of the king symbol in the final puzzle, and when we get to Drumpf. So that Roy at the end of Napoleon is a clue. So the second puzzle for Hister, in some versions of Nostradamus's writing, includes what appears as a lightning bolt S that appears very similar to the German SS symbol, the Nazi Sigrun, or the German Sigrun symbol for victory. However, Nostradamus wouldn't have known what that was, probably. He would have associated it with Old Greek, per the teachings from his teachings. And in Old Greek, that is the symbol for king of the zodiac, for Zeus. And there's several iterations of Zeus symbology. Zeus is the eagle. Zeus is the Nazi S, or the lightning bolt S, also signified by the letter Z. But these are all symbols of Zeus. So the name Mabus, or the name Hister, that S converts to a regular S, dials down one letter to be a T. The adjacent T flips upside down to become a double-sided L, verbatim Hitler. So that puzzle breaks down via political accent and then a dial and a flip with the letters. They're coding factors. Just think algebra. These are coding factors. The final name Mabus breaks down based on the encoding factors exampled in the first two puzzles. It's not a guess. It's not a maybe. Anybody can do it. It works with 100% accuracy. If you follow the poetry as encryption, king summoned by trumpet, the king symbol is summed adjacent to the trumpet, Mabus. When you place the king symbol at the end of the final name, it is no longer a 5-letter word puzzle. It is a 6-letter word puzzle. All three unlock at the same time to their actual names together to Drumpf, D-R-U-M-P-F. It cannot be faked. It is based on the exampled encryption sequence that Nostradamus created himself. The number of factors that are encoded comes out to 58 million options. It's 1 in 58 million that those three names would line up in an algebraic sequence. The only way, there's only one way, and if it was designed which is if it was designed that way in the first place. That's it. So this is something that was encoded at the time the puzzle was created. I didn't create it. I cracked it, but I didn't create it. This was created by Nostradamus.
So is there any comments that fit the criteria? It's Atlas is gone, so I mean we have to have a new comment, don't we?
You know, I've searched comments before and comment trajectories. There's debate about that. I do believe it's a real comment. I do. But I have not searched for comments going by January, February of next year yet. I've searched comments before and been like, okay, I know there's a comment in here someplace. But,
There's been fireballs above states, and they've been claiming it's meteors, but I always worry somehow somebody's going to sneak a nuke a meteor in or something weird.
You know, it's and that's the other question is because the final piece is when the comet will run is a comet an actual comet? I believe it is, but does that mean it actually is? Could it be a nuclear missile coming in? He had no word for a nuclear missile, and so he's like, it's a comet. I can't answer that. But possible. My opinion is it's a real comet.
It's probably a nuke. I know Trump says if he dies that basically you're gonna blow shit up pretty much. So it could be either or, but who knows? He definitely seems like he fits the criteria to me though, but I think the Antichrist is more of a spirit and more than one person's infected with it, like Putin and him and
I think Nostradamus used the term Antichrist as an adjective. You know what I mean? I don't think he was literally talking about the devil in horns, 3 men who would be antichrists. Well, I don't think he meant literally like the devil. I think we were talking about 3 people who would cause mass death and destruction. You know, it doesn't have our definition of, I would say that we have a perspective on the Antichrist that's very sci-fi, fantasy, devil horns, spells, all this kind of stuff. And I don't think that's what it is. I think that I think you're right, it is a spirit or a headspace, but I think it comes back to 3 men whose lives would lead the world to horrible places. And we're in the middle of the final one right now.
Napoleon, Hitler, and Trumpelwooch. Man, I did all those. I've been doing I did 18 30-minute weird interview things in the last 2 days. My voice is almost hoarse. But it was a survey, so trying to get the fine money up. But man, that's a lot of people. I've been over peopled. And then now the servers may be down, so I don't know if I can get back in. But if it's there the rest of the weekend, I'm going to try to keep going. But Right now, they won't let you get in because there may be a technical problem there or something. But the comet may run. Mabus will soon die, and
Well, you can, if you want to do the puzzle yourself, anybody who wants to do the puzzle for themselves, to see it for themselves, to sit there and play with it, you do it 100 times. I will say that when you actually take the time to do the puzzle yourself, it's really scary because it becomes really hard to argue that it wasn't created like that. It becomes almost impossible when you sit there and go through it and go through, wow, this works just like a Rubik's Cube. It's scary, but I would invite anybody to do it. You can go on to just search the Mabus solution on Facebook. I did it. I timestamped everything on Facebook for this exact reason. You can pull it up yourself. You can do it 100 times. It comes out to Drumpf every single time. So yeah, it's a little scary.
I've always thought, what if Trump is like the Antichrist? Or though Penny Bradley, she's coming on again soon. She's very vocal about not liking Trump, and she says some crazy stuff on her statuses, like the Sasha Riley guy that supposedly stuck a metal stick up him or whatever because he raped him or something. She said that in detail. But one of the big things she said is there's the Rome Club of 300, where the maps are cut up in three world powers, and it's on Wikipedia, the Rome Club of 300. And if you look at the map, it's carved up in America, China, Russia, and America is Greenland and all that South America. And it appears that Trump is part of one of those wanker Illuminati things. And it seems like Rome Club of 300. Look it up. The map will freak you out.
Interesting.
He was showing that map at meetings. I saw it on Facebook, like a weird map cut up and like that. But it's the Rome Club of 300.
The Rome Club. That's interesting. That is interesting.
And she also said that he's in some like billionaire elite sea suckers, I'll swear, and sea suckers. But the elite billionaires, that basically they're doing an Armageddon play, but it's real, to where they're doing a fake apocalypse, and Trump is the beast. That's the part he's been chosen to play as the beast of the apocalypse. And I'll send you those. You'll trip out. She'll trip you out.
Send me a link to that.
I mean, at first you hear her and she's into exopolitics. You're like, there's a little kookiness, but if you really like start looking at her status, she rips him up. She don't like Trump, but I don't think she likes either side. But anyway, it's crazy. I mean, and then the fact that they said that to all the soldiers about Iran, that basically they're doing it to bring back the coming of Jesus Christ. And if you remember, that was released to all the military, and like 200 soldiers complained to some organization about religion and the state and all that crap. But basically, the heads of Trump's military were telling the sergeants and stuff to tell the soldiers that they're invading Iran because it's about the coming of Jesus Christ. So I could see even if it's not the real revelations with Jesus, the real Jesus Christ, it could be some assholes trying to do a fake one, and that may be his part, because he is a Trump wanker. I mean, a Hitler wanker. So, I mean, it's his fantasy.
A Hitler wanker.
Yeah. And I heard someone that had to fight. In high school, a mean bully called me fat because I hung out with some girl that I guess he liked. I didn't know. I'd known him since kindergarten, but he had Hitler in his locker. And one day he came up to me and goes, if you don't meet me at Wild Turkey Circle, I'm going to beat you up every day. So I went to Wild Turkey Circle, and this was in 9th grade. There's about 300 kids there.
Oh, God.
We beat each other up, and he was smashing rocks on his head because they said he was on speed. I never even did drugs back then. I didn't do them until my dad died, but we beat each other up. And what was so weird is the weird part is he was into Hitler. He had him in his locker like a pitcher. He's a Hitler wanker. But anyway, later he came to school and he begged me to forgive him and got on his knees and apologized. He said that after he did that, he got in a car wreck. He fell through a plate glass window. He knocked the girl up. He went to jail, and it affected him so much because I guess he heard he had cancer that he came and apologized about it. Well, it turned out I found out later my dad's dead now. No one got killed. But supposedly my dad went to his house and took the lug nuts off his car.
Oh wow.
My dad was crazy, but
Yeah.
but we supposedly too. My aunt Wanda Wallace, Grace Wallace, we are related to William Wallace. Really, like really,
Oh,
she probably
interesting.
is more, but we have that in freedom in the bloodline. My dad's side was Wallace. William
Well,
Wallace.
an expert lug nut remover.
Yeah.
And an
What now?
expert lug nut remover.
Yeah. But this stuff, man, I'll be surprised if a nuke don't go off in America at some point. And I
You
would be,
know,
it wouldn't surprise me if he let it slide by. He let COVID slide by.
I hate to. I'm try to stay away from the worst case scenarios too much because they're just too scary. And we have people are really good at catastrophizing, and it's easy to get yourself all worked up over the worst case scenario. We've survived 2 world wars. We're going to survive a third world war, but it's going to be scary, and a lot of people are going to die. And maybe this is what it's going to take for us to realize don't ever do this again. I mean, this whole situation is entirely preventable. We are doing this ultimately to ourselves. We have now completely screwed up, our international relations. Oil is going through the roof. We're going into a world war. It's going to get chaotic, and it's like we have absolutely
Quit it. Y'all chill out. Dogs. Yeah, everything he does, it doesn't seem what the hell is he doing that helps anybody. It just seems like he's just screwing everything up, destroying it. I have to get the water bottle for these psychos. Quit it.
Well, like I said, I mean, it's a king's mentality. 3 men whose followers would adorn them as kings. The people who followed Napoleon, they made him the emperor. The people that followed Hitler certainly adored him as a king. And are you going to tell me the people that followed Trump don't look at him in a very kingly way? He can do no wrong. All of this stuff. There's a reason that there's no king protests.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
What about James Americo? I think that's how you say his name. It's a young guy in Texas that talks about Jesus a lot. Trump was attacking him. And the guy seemed younger, like he was really embodying Christ a lot. And it made me think of like fiction horror or something where politicians, one's Jesus and one's the Antichrist, like politicians at the podium. A friend of mine drew that a long time ago for the radio show. It was a weird Antichrist at the podium. And of course, Marilyn Manson, when he does Antichrist Superstar, at the podium going crazy. But yeah, it's just so much to take in, too much. And this year, God knows what's going to happen.
Well, I just hope. I mean, I know there's going to be big crap, right? But
Sure.
but it does also seem like other people are. It does occasionally seem like other people in other parts of the world are startlingly sane about some of this because they've seen this kind of behavior from people before. It's just that it's more dangerous because we have more stuff, we're bigger and more is at stake. But obviously, what is it? It's like, I guess it's 8:30 Central Time where you are, Jeffrey. It's 9:30 where I'm at, but it's obviously tomorrow already in the Middle East. And I thought that there has been some news that has come in, by the way. So I thought that I would give everyone a news break about the latest. So basically, late last night, their time, Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities late on Friday. And so Iran retaliated and struck a base in Saudi Arabia wounding U.S. service members and damaging planes. There did, however, appear to be a breakthrough as Tehran agreed to allow humanitarian aid and agricultural shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, accepting a request from the UN Ali Bahraini, the country's ambassador to the United Nations in Geneva. And they said they agreed to facilitate and expedite such movement because this waterway usually handles a fifth of the world's oil shipments and nearly a third of the world's fertilizer trade. So while markets and governments have largely focused on blocked supplies of oil and natural gas, the restriction of fertilizer ingredients in trade threatens farming and food security around the world. So Iran has agreed to let those shipments through. The Iranian attack on the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia wounded 10 American troops, 2 of them seriously, and also damaged several refueling planes. And of course, Israel is doing what it's doing. The nuclear facilities that were hit are in the province of Yazd, and they were involved with yellow cake production, but they have not been used since they were attacked last June. So it was sort of a pointless maneuver anyway. Syed Majid Masavi said on X that employees of companies tied to the U.S. and Israel should abandon their workplaces. This time the equation will no longer be an eye for an eye. It will be just wait. Saudi Arabia has said that they will not enter into talks with Israel unless Israel has some kind of actual plan for Palestine. A Gulf Arab bloc said Thursday that Iran has been exacting tolls from ships to ensure safe passage.
You know, it's there's
and I do know that they have been accepting tolls from China in yuan and not in dollars. I do know that. And the attacks have intensified overnight in both Tehran and Tel Aviv.
How do you think Vance is going to do with being president?
Who?
Vance, because he's the one who's going to end up dealing with World War III, right?
Oh, I think he's going to suck big turds, is what I think. That's the guy. That's who's going to be running it now. I know.
The plane, boss. The plane.
Well, he can. Maybe he can. He loves his lazy boy. Maybe he'll fuck him up.
Use the F word. Use the F word.
All right. We'll be okay. Just try not to do it again. But yeah. What about the weird clone stuff? Like they could have clones of Trump. Epstein was even doing Stranger Things clone baby stuff to babies. They can clone stuff, but they don't know how to make them grow up really fast. Yeah.
I mean, we're used to like clones. It's like the clone. You have to not only clone them, but you have to do mega growth stuff. It's like he's not going to not going to instantly produce another Trump like that.
I go everywhere, including right-wing places and chat rooms where some of these right-wing personalities are, and I go, Fuhrer Shitbird von Trumpelgooch loves the baby jerky 2028 and forever.
Make an AI
baby
clone.
jerky.
They'll take a clone. They'll take a major historical figure. They'll make an AI clone that literally
an AI clone. Yeah, I mean, an AI clone is different as long as you don't ever have to see them in actual physical life.
That's what I'm saying. They could make an AI clone, and it would be terrifying what you could do with an AI clone. But see, then somebody would AI clone Jesus. They'd like feed everything about Jesus into an AI, and then people would start worshiping the AI.
They probably have one. You ever see Preacher with Humperdinck, the clone of Jesus? It's that show with Garth Ennis and Seth Rogen does it. It's like about a preacher and an alien and a vampire. It's really good. It's from a comic book.
I saw the first season of Preacher. I didn't see anything past the first season.
It's nuts. There's a clone of Jesus. His name's Humperdinck, and he's like a mentally challenged clone Jesus. It's bad.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I mean, it's good, but it's bad. But anyway, Preacher's really good. I read those in high school. I want to read them again one year. But man, this is just too much. No, next week's guest is Classic Horror Monsters. The guy's coming on to it's a big art book with a lot of famous people that redid famous art of like classic monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein, and we'll be talking about classic monsters, which is always fun. But man, so what do you think with the baby jerky? Are they really eating babies? That's what they say the baby jerky means. So it seems like they were really like maybe processing it like Hannibal Lecter or something and really eating it. That's what it seemed like, right? I mean, that's what it alludes to, right?
There are terrible things in this world, and I have no doubt that there are terrible people that would do that. I try not to focus on those kinds of things because
I just wonder, like, I mean, why? Is it like give you immortality or something weird, or they think it does, or some kind of crazy like energy or something? I don't know, but yeah, we don't.
Some weird idea that
adrenochrome crap.
Yeah, no. It's interesting because I think that who was it? Kim Jong-un's father would have, what was his name? Kim Jong-un's father was Old Jong-un? I don't know. But anyway, his father would apparently have he would get transfusions of babies. He would have blood from babies transfused into him to keep him young.
Crazy.
So there's a thing about that, they think it's going to keep you young.
What about Palm Beach Pete? That's a weird thing. I saw something that said Epstein's the Antichrist, Trump's the beast, but then I think Palm Beach Pete is his own dude. But what if it was Epstein, like just mind screw it?
Now here's an interesting side conversation. Epstein was almost certainly murdered. He didn't kill himself. So was it Trump who ordered it?
I don't think Epstein was taken to Israel. There's a lot of weird hype about that and the guards and stuff that they didn't kill him.
Oh, I haven't heard that one. Yeah,
there's a lot of that. Some of the guards said there was a truck there. The surveillance camera was taken down. There's a lot of weird little. What about Ghislaine Maxwell? Like now, if you put her picture next to her face, she don't look like the same lady. Maybe it looks like she broke her nose, or it looks like a whole different lady.
Somebody said that somebody said in another country that they saw her. It was on the internet.
Yeah. It turns out that might have been AI. That was on Slapped Ham.
Something. Yeah. Yeah.
But there are people that look like each other. It's weird. There are.
Yeah.
I mean, I know at one time they showed a crazy Trump dude that looked like Trump at a gas station, like a redneck. It looked just like him, but it was the other dude. They probably took him and cloned them. And
what's interesting about Epstein is if Epstein was working for Israeli Secret Service, if he was working for the Mossad, the person or the one who has the dirt on Trump is Netanyahu.
Yeah, I've heard that too. He has the Epstein stuff, but you would think Putin probably has it too.
So I saw a thing that Netanyahu was telling Trump if he didn't attack Iran, he was going to release it. And Iran also had gotten hold of it and said, if you attack us, we're going to release it. And so Trump blew the hell out of them.
And therefore, you don't know what's true. I've seen that Netanyahu's dead too, and then you see the weird AI stuff of him that's weird, like the coffee that doesn't go down and the fingers, and like, is he dead?
You know, who's dead?
Netanyahu.
Oh,
Yahoo.
no, not Netanyahu. No, I think he's a sketchy dude. So yeah, we've got.
They have clones of him probably.
It's
He's like
weird.
Jewish Hitler.
But if Netanyahu's got the goods on Trump, he owns Trump. And also remember when Netanyahu most recently was trying to he was trying to say that Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize multiple times over. Remember when he was saying that? That sounds like somebody trying to groom somebody to scam him. That's what it sounds like. That sounds like a scam.
It's turning out to seem like Israel is a lot more powerful than we think. We know they're powerful. It seems like they're in control a lot more. It's kind of like They Live meets the series with the reptilians that eat people and harness them. And there's just like there were some pictures I saw of Biden and someone else, and they had like a little Jewish handler behind them, and they were just showing how like they're everywhere. They have like little spies behind them, keeping up with them. Like they're more. It's more. And I saw something on Facebook, which doesn't mean anything, but something about Israel can see through Russia's webcams in the streets or something weird. It's like, is Israel like the alien species from They Live or something?
Well, the Mossad are interesting. I mean, they'll do some really horrible things, but the technology and the things that they come out with is scary. It wouldn't surprise me that they could see through Russian webcams or whatever. So, and how often does our government say, well, we're not going to do that, but they turn around and they let Israeli Secret Service do it, and they just pray to find the information, right? Then they have plausible deniability and still get the information they need from ultimately Epstein Island.
Here's a weird thing I've noticed doing these surveys at Prolific lately. A lot of them ask if you're a Republican or Democrat. How do you feel about them? Would you think it would be okay to go against the Supreme Court? Just weird questions, or do violence, like really weird little questionnaires. But one guy that was a surfer guy said that he traced back one of those surveys to BlackRock. And then the one I'm doing now, he said he traced it back to IBM, which I mean that doesn't scare me or anything, but that is Bill Gates though. Is IBM still considered Bill Gates? I don't know, but is it?
Sure.
I don't know.
IBM is owned by a family, but I think
they're not Microsoft. For some reason,
they're connected to Trump.
But
to Trump, they donated a bunch of money to him.
But I'm wondering if they're like gathering data so they start sticking us in camps. That's what it's like. Are you liberal? How liberal are you? How conservative are you? And
we're going to wind up with AI on our glasses, monitoring our eye movements. Like things are going to get the technology is going to get nuts. But I think we're probably going to have a world war before any of that kind of stuff happens. So I think before technology will get out of control after we put all the pieces back together after all this is over. But that's going to be a ways down the line.
And it's just insanity. Thank God. And just when you think it can't get any worse, it's going to. Gas will be $20 a gallon.
27 years from now is what? If we're going to say World War III starts in 2026, when does it end? Isn't that what, 2052?
So it's supposed to last 27 years?
Nostradamus says it's 27 years. Let's just assume that's right.
Okay. That's 2053.
2053.
I will gloriously probably be dead, so it's fine with me. If I'm alive, I'll be in my 90s. So I'm assuming I will be dead by then because hardly any of my family lives to that. That's not a longevity we have. So
the ending of my book is right at the end of World War III. So it ends on the let's see. Nostradamus published his book *The Prophecies* in 1555. So the epilogue of my book ends in 2055, right after World War III ends.
Cool. if it gets that bad, it's already bad. But if it gets so bad that's actually, that crazy, dying's probably a blessing at this point. Instead of being alive when nukes are hitting and the winds are going and all that. You're lucky maybe you'll mutate and get to survive and live in Mad Max. But other than that, that'll be a rarity. But the ghoul, the ghoul.
Well, let's hope the worst case scenario stories are not true, right? Again, we like to catastrophize. Let's hope, because the worst case scenario stories and I'm just going to say it, but it's terrifying, and I'm really hopeful it's wrong. That it kills up to two-thirds of the world's population, and most of the northern hemisphere becomes uninhabitable. So that's hopefully way overly dramatic and wrong. I choose to believe that is as science fiction as some of those movies, but I'm pretty sure it's going to get nasty, one way or the other.
But who's going to go against him? And even if someone goes against him, he's going to rig it or do whatever. It already looks like he rigged the last one. So
who could
beat him? Gavin Newsom. There's some other guy I've heard of.
If we're in the middle of an actual World War III and Vance is president, it's hard to say what's going to happen after that. Especially, if it does go to... See, I don't like talking about nuclear war. It's too scary. But the cities on the West Coast that would be most likely to get hit would be LA, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle. Those would be the most likely places. So who knows if Gavin Newsom would even... they'd hit the state capitals first. It's who knows what's going to happen. But
Mar-a-Lago and blast winds come right towards me at the Panhandle, and I mutate and turn into a werebeast, hopefully, or just die.
Well, retro causality, it could have already happened.
We may already be dead.
Mutating early. It could be retro causality. You could be mutating now.
Hey, have you heard of Pluribus, Eric? I think I've told Wham about it, but Pluribus on Apple. It's by the guy that did Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It's on Apple TV, and it has the lady from Better Call Saul, Kim, the blonde lady that was with Saul, and the lawyer, the girlfriend. She's in the other one too. But anyway, it's really good. It's really weird.
Uma Thurman? Is that Uma Thurman?
No, it's not Uma Thurman. But no, it's Pluribus. Basically, it's kind of like an invasion of the body snatchers, where there's like a zombie kind of apocalypse, and then basically what happens is everybody becomes one consciousness, like this weird alien consciousness. But when they talk, only one talks. But there are several people who did not get infected, so that consciousness is still dealing with them and helping them in the world. And a politician gets up on the TV, and the blonde-headed lady is at home, and he starts talking to her straight to the TV, and it's like a public broadcast that everyone's hearing, but he's talking right at her, and it's the whole consciousness. It's crazy. It's really good. It's crazy.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, but the Breaking Bad guy, he don't do no wrong with the writing. For sure, it's good, but it's like a X-File. It's kind of X-Filesy. It's different. It's definitely different.
Yeah, I'm stuck on all the Marvel stuff. I watch if it's Marvel, I tend to watch all of it. So
I want to see Wonder Man. I haven't got into that yet. I'm up for it.
I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it too. Some people really liked it. I didn't care for Wonder Man. I watched the first episode. I was like, I watched a little more of the second, and I just skipped to the end.
I honestly don't know anything about the character. Isn't he normally white and the guy's black, which I don't care about that, but I don't know enough about the character to know anything about it. But I would watch it. But I want to watch the new Daredevil. I love those. Those are good.
Yeah, I've seen that. I saw the first episode last night. I was watching it. So
Vincent D'Onofrio was Kingpin. That was just badass. It don't get no better than that. But I want to see Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts. I haven't seen those yet. Fantastic Four or Thunderbolts. The new Fantastic Four.
Have you watched The Punisher?
The old show. Yeah.
No, the new Punisher, the guy who got his start in Daredevil. I forget his name.
They got canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
He's
supposed to bring him.
amazing.
He's in Daredevil. John Bernthal. He's really good.
John Bernthal. He's gonna be in Spider-Man. He's coming up in Spider-Man.
He was in Walking Dead at first.
Oh, was he? Was he?
Yeah, he was Rick's friend that
Yeah.
cheated with Rick's wife.
I saw him briefly at a Comic Con. He came here to Portland. I'm in Portland, as you know. So he came to Portland in some sort of Comic Con event. So I saw him.
Who was it?
John Berthal, when he was this was back when Arrow was still on. So
I got a crazy story, and I don't know if I've told it, but I have a friend named Matt. I'm trying to get him to come on, but he says the F word so much. He used to be a skinhead, and when we first met, he thought I was like some Aryan dude just because I was bald, but he's not a skinhead anymore. Of course, I was not an Aryan dude, but he hates Trump, and he's not, and the race is crazy. He's done with that. But anyway, he went to someone's house to like do their lawn or something. And I used to work at Petco with him, and we partied and stuff. And it was crazy. Jägermeister and stuff. My God. But anyway, he went to some lady's house to do their lawn and stuff. And he goes in there, and there's Daryl Dixon and the Asian guy, Glenn, standing in her kitchen. And somehow, like the real actors, in the house, and somehow the other guy that he there knows has a fake head from Braveheart of William Wallace that was really used on it. So he's walking around with the head, and then the two actors guys like, "Did you know we were going to be here today?" And they're like, "No, I didn't have a clue you were going to be here today." And they're like, probably like, "Who the hell is?" Because he can be crazy, but. But it was a funny story that you don't hear very often. Walking around William Wallace's head and Walking Dead people.
He was doing a Vlad the Impaler thing. He just had a head on a pole.
Yeah. I want a Vlad the Impaler historical movie so bad. There's supposed to be a Brad Pitt movie. He bought the rights to. I don't think he's in it. I don't really know, and it's supposed to be like 300, but it's a historical epic of Vlad the Impaler. They were making it, but I haven't heard anything else new on it. But no fantasy, just complete historic.
That's Vlad's opinion poll. Vlad's opinion poll. Here's your opinion. Go.
I don't mind some of the Dracula fantasy stuff with it, but I want just like a Braveheart Vlad the Impaler kind of thing. How the hell are they gonna? We're almost done. We got like a minute, but
it's all good.
What about the new Mel Gibson Passion of the Christ 2 with no Jim Caviezel or Revelations? I'm sure it's going to be a kook fest.
Do Passion of the Christ 2? What
they're doing it. They're doing it. It's Revelations.
Oh God.
I'm sure Trump will be in there.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, it's
oh.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? The Ethiopian Bible. That's interesting.
Is it?
Have you looked into the Ethiopian Bible at all? It goes into Ethiopian Bible is interesting. I think it's 33 books, and it actually goes into like the Book of Enoch is in it because like that was one of the books removed that they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls that was originally in there. There's also a Book of Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting. So yeah, it is books that were pulled out of the Bible by the Council of Nicaea are still in it, plus older texts. So it is the closest to original Christianity ever, and it's only because it was preserved on these mountains,
I don't remember, but I've always heard the Ark of the Covenant's there for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to close out. What another great show with Eric. Eric, and great to have you here. And thanks, Wham. And that was a good one. I'm hoarse from all those survey weird things I've been doing that force you to talk for money. But y'all help carry the show. Thank you. And we'll see you next Friday with the classic monster painting stuff. That's really cool art. And like Bride of Frankenstein. We'll talk about stuff, but all the horror stuff. But everybody have a good weekend and good night.
Good
What's
night.
your link, Eric? Eric, give out links or something, like a link. Your links.
Sure. To look at the Mabus solution material, go to Facebook and type in the Mabus solution, and it will come right up. There is a website that's under construction associated with the fictional novel, but the research project is on Facebook.
Looks really good. It looks good.
Man, it's being a password right now. I'm building it, so it's got because the that is for the fictional novel, not for the research project. Was on Facebook for good reason, and that's all the historical stuff, and everything's time stamped. Everybody can go look back for the last 10 years or so. Took 10 years to make that.
And I'll be in the book, and our shows are going to be archived there. So it's our history.
I can't wait to get to that part. Yeah, you're in Act 3 of the book. I haven't even gotten to Act 3 yet, but you are in it.
Awesome.
You are in it.
With some wham in there too. But let's go. Everybody have a good weekend. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.